So I'm in the cab on the way up here, and talking to my buddy Zach, and he says, you know, Denehy, if you, when you write a book, I think they should call it The Sunny Side of a Shit Sandwich. He's from Texas, so he kind of talks like that. I thought about that. I'm like, you know, that's actually a good point. And what he means by that is, you know, I've had a few successes throughout my career, but for the most part, I have just gotten my ass whooped 99% of the time. And it's really just been a beatdown and a succession of punches in the face, punctuated by moments of success. And so there's one instance in particular that took place about 4 or 5 years ago that was particularly meaningful to me. And basically it was when my co-founder and I had already sold our company to USA Today. And you know, we were two young guys, high-flying executives, and we were killing it in every sense of the word. We had no perspective of how good we had it at the time, but in my case, I had an apartment in Los Angeles, an apartment in New York City. I was flying back and forth every 2 weeks, every week, first class, wearing $2,000 theory suits. My business partner, Rudd, had a beachfront house in Venice. He was driving an all-black Porsche Cayenne. Like, life was really, really good. So we did what I think any young guys that have really high monthly overhead should do, and we said, fuck this place, let's quit our jobs and go start a new company. What could go wrong? And in our heads we were thinking, well, this really won't be that hard. We've already done it before. We're hotshots at this big company. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go out and we're going to raise a ton of money really fast, hire a bunch of people, and have this huge company. And you know, that's just how it's going to be. So we did. We quit. We go out. We're meeting with all the investors. And about 3 months later, a funny thing happened. Nothing. No money from any investors. We also had no income. So very quickly, the apartment in New York goes bye-bye. The apartment in LA all of a sudden starts looking a lot less interesting. Rudd's Porsche gets sold to a group of Russian mobsters so we can pay our bills. Literally, this happened. That's a story for another day. 3 more months goes by. Not only are investors telling us no, but we actually had a group of guys tell us no and don't call us again. We said, okay, well, we need to get out of LA. Let's go to San Francisco where all the investors are, where the engineers, all the people we're trying to hire, they're up there. Let's do that. So we did. A couple young guys, now with no money, moved to one of the most expensive cities in the world. So I had the pleasure of moving in with a guy who hoarded ketchup packets, because when you don't have any money, that's who you live with. Yeah. So anyways, as time went on, and we were literally stripped of everything that we had ever had, and we're now like living in this new normal of nothingness, which is super boring. We finally, only then, I think it was like the universe's way of like kind of repaying us now that we've learned a little bit of a lesson. Then investors started getting interesting again. Then we started getting traction with our customers. And before we knew it, we had a really kick-ass list of investors, of customers, press coverage. We had the big announcements on TechCrunch. We had Nas, the rapper, sitting in our office telling us how much money he wanted to give us, which he did. And like for a minute, we said, no shit, we're back on top. I mean, minus all the nice stuff that we had, we felt like we were back on top. We said, okay, you know, we've learned a pretty good lesson. We've been humbled by this. You know, let's get out there and let's build this freaking business. So we do, and we get out there, and we hire a bunch of people, and we build this product, and we do all this exciting stuff. And a year later, we go out to a totally different set of investors to raise significantly more money. And guess what happens? Nothing. Nobody wants to give us any money. And again, this time, totally different group of people, and for totally different reasons. We couldn't raise our first institutional round of financing. A few more weeks go by, and all of a sudden, it's like really not funny anymore, because we realize that we have 2 weeks of cash left, and we've got to run payroll Monday after next. And what the fuck? Why is this happening again? I was just here a year ago. And in our first business, which almost went belly up, but we pivoted and then had a successful exit, this is what, the 3rd or 4th time that we've completely run out of cash. And basically have no options. And so it was at that moment that I really just kind of started feeling bad for myself, almost like the victim. Like, why after all this work that I put in, do I keep just getting slugged in the face every time I feel like I'm making progress, every time that I think I've gotten somewhere? And then I remember reading this thing, Principles by Ray Dalio. Some of you guys have probably read this. And I'm going to paraphrase pretty aggressively here. But basically, what he said is, your success is determined not by, the plan and how hard you work, but by how you work around the things that get in the way of getting what you want. And so as I'm sitting there and drafting up the paperwork, we're 3 days away from completely running out of money, sitting there drafting up the paperwork to lay off all of our employees because we weren't going to have any money to pay them. I started thinking to myself, wait a second. These are the obstacles. Like, the challenges of the day-to-day of running the business, that's not the stuff that I really have to be worried about. It's all of these fucked up sidewinders that keep getting sent to me by the world. Those are the things that I actually have to be concerned with, and those are the things that are going to define whether or not I win or lose, succeed or fail. And that's the stuff that I need to be focused on. And in fact, I should enjoy this. This is the part of the journey that makes me what I am. So, needless to say, it was just one of those moments where I actually felt way better about the situation, despite the fact that I actually hadn't done anything yet. So I'm like, I got this, right? And so, look, as luck would have it, we got out the treasure map. We found $300,000. We made payroll. And a few months later, we raised our Series A. One thing leads to another. We had a whole bunch of other shit happen that really sucked, but we figured it out. We grew the business way, way faster than we had ever expected. And when it came time last fall to raise another round of financing, we got multiple offers from publicly traded companies, and we sold the business. So what I learned in all of this is that, even though we've kind of made it through all of this stuff, and even though I feel like I'm in a position where certain things in my life should be easier, the reality is I'm going to keep getting sucker punched out of nowhere all the time, and that's okay. Because at least now I expect it, and I sure as hell can handle it. Thank you.